Nut Nerd Podcast, episode 252. Send them all to Rhode Island.
Welcome to the Nut Nerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
Top of the morning to ya, there, Natey. I had to go with my Irish accent because it is the morning. We usually record in the afternoon, but today it's the morning, so I had to say top of the morning to ya.
Oh, yes, you are so quick on that to know what time of day it is as we record today. Yes, we've got all kinds of news. A couple of the big companies announced some more products. We're in that product announcement time. We might be getting, there's rumors next week will be the Apple iPhone event, so stay tuned for that. We don't have any concrete information, but as always, let's get started off with some follow-up. Now, this is an interesting thing that I noticed. I probably got the first email about a month ago. Zoom. This has been 2020 is the year of Zoom, and I am a paying member for Zoom for some of the business stuff I do. I just pay like the $15 a month, but I start getting emails where they are really trying to push people to their annual subscriptions, and it got me thinking, oh yeah, I should do that. I could save a little money in there. And then I go, you know what? Of course Zoom is, because they know that this isn't going to last forever, that people are going to be using for Zoom less at some point, hopefully, and if they can get you to buy for a year, then they're just getting more money in their pockets, even if you aren't using it later. So it's one of those marketing tech tricks where, you know, hey, you use Zoom all the time. Save a little money by buying a year's worth.
Save $3.
And then
whatever it is.
Really hope a year down the road that we aren't having to Zoom as much and that we can be around people more often. But anyways, just an interesting thing I thought I would point out.
I long to go back to the days where you can just do a quick FaceTime with people and get on and get off without having to do meetings of 30 people and figuring that out. And what does this mean for Microsoft and Google, who are propping up their video conferencing products? They're late to the party. Yeah. By the time they get things the way they want them, nobody's going to be using their stuff anymore.
I know. It doesn't end. We've talked several times. Amazon Prime Day, which is usually in July, was delayed this year. And so they have now officially announced that Amazon Prime Day is set for October 13th and 14th, which if you're any good at math, you would realize that's more than one day for Prime Day. That is 2 days.
I just realized that. Thank you for pointing that out.
I looked through some of the deals that I saw in an article of what's been published. Again, unless you're really looking for an Amazon brand product, a lot of the deals are I think it's way overblown. We kind of looked through last year, I remember, and it was like, you know, unless you need a new Dot or Fire TV stick or, heaven forbid, a Fire TV or Fire tablet, your results may vary.
I've got several of those.
Yes.
Don't be too judgy.
Yes, that's true. But be looking for that. So that might coincide with the rumored iPhone announcement. So everybody will be busy ordering iPhones instead of endlessly scrolling through Prime Day deals.
Yeah, that is kind of an interesting time because the rumored iPhone is supposed to be launched on the 13th. And if Amazon does their Prime Day, it's certainly going to take a lot of energy out of Amazon. Yeah. I mean, there's no way Amazon is going to take the spotlight away from Apple. Yes. So it's kind of hurting themselves. So I'm wondering why they picked this date in particular. It was probably decided many weeks ago.
True. There's the COVID contact tracing app or API that was developed in unison between Apple and Google, where it's built into the operating system so the apps can be built on top of this for COVID tracking. Well, I saw an article from CNBC that 10 U.S. states have apps using this now, and it covers about 21% of the U.S. population. New York and New Jersey are two of them. So these are starting to roll out 6 months after it was announced. But I haven't seen a lot of results or how this is working. Contact tracing does not seem to be working well from the information I have seen here and there. It's something that they tell us is supposed to be helpful. I will remind people that we are the most nonpartisan tech podcast on the internet because infectious viruses seem to fall into the partisan category. But, Apple and Google worked really hard to make this because it was something that was said to be needed, and it looks like some states are finally getting some apps together, and hopefully this will help the situation. I haven't seen a lot of information on that yet.
Yeah, and I continue to be frustrated with our great state of Oregon because every time I go into my exposure notification and try to turn it on, it says exposure notifications are not currently available. Exposure notifications have not been turned on for your region by your public health authority. And my question is, why the freak not? Why aren't we using every tool available to us to fight this thing? And if that means paying somebody to make an app that hooks into Apple and Google's exposure notification, just do it. I'm sure just take one of the ones that exists, rebrand it, and put the Oregon logo on there. And let's be done with this. It's like, why is this not accessible to us?
Much like I could do an hour on Gavin Newsom last week, I could do an hour on Oregon and some of their activity on this whole issue, but we will keep it to the technology as we like to. We talked, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, Facebook, has helped millions of people register to vote. Well, Snapchat announced that they have helped 1 million users register to vote as well. So these social media apps.
Where's Pornhub?
Well, they always probably
are
did
doing the stuff. It's like they try to get themselves in the spotlight on these big social issues.
Yes, I do not follow their news feed, so maybe they have done the same as well. But it's a great way. Go where people are. It used to be people would stand at the grocery store and try to get people to register to vote, but everybody's on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all these places. And if it is 2020, so we can make it easier for people to register to vote, and then hopefully they will then in turn use that registration to actually vote in our U.S. election coming up.
Well, I think the government should mandate a chip reader on every computer or device, and then they should just implant chips in people's wrists or foreheads, and then you scan your device and then it verifies who you are, and then you can vote.
Perfect. I like it. Yeah. Let's start working on that after we build a contact tracing app for Oregon. There we can make our millions.
After we spend the $500 to make a contract tracing app.
Yes. Yes. Well, something you don't have to spend $500 on. Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
Now, that's not a promise I think I can keep. I might start charging for these at some point in time.
They're worth it. Worth every penny.
Yes. Now, Nate, we love to hate on Google because it's one of these services that we like to use, but they're just, they're a little quirky. They're slow to adopt things, especially on iOS. They routinely build programs and services that you fall in love with, and then they kill them and throw them away. They routinely acquire companies that you love and then shut them down. I mean, stuff like this. And so we love to hate Google. Well, this is an opportunity for us to love Google, because on iOS 14, Google is one of the first to the party to enable their application to be set as the default on iOS devices. That's your iPhone and your iPad, etc. So we're going to talk about how to do that on your phone. And this tip works with other applications as well, but we're going to use Google as an example because they're due for some positive reinforcement here from our show. So if you have an iOS device, an iPad, or an iPhone, and you would like to change the default mail application from Apple's built-in mail program to Gmail, to Spark, to a myriad of others, Microsoft Outlook, we're going to show you how to do that. So the first thing you want to do is go to our buddy, the settings application. It looks like the gray gear. And once you're in there, your tendency might be to go into some of the general and all those other things, but avoid that at all costs. All you have to do is scroll way down, and for me it's way down because I have 900 applications, but there are application settings for every application on your phone down in the list. And so you merely find the Gmail application, and you click on it. It opens a new window. And inside there, about halfway down on the screen, it says Default Mail Application. And when you click that button, you will see a list of all of the mail programs that qualify for default mail status. Mine, for example, shows Gmail, of course. Outlook, I have that on my device. Spark, which is the email client that I use regularly. Hey, which is a trial email application. And then, of course, Mail application from Apple. And for some reason, mine is set to Mail. I know I've set this to something else, but it reset at some point. I'm going to select Spark, but you at home, if you want to use Gmail, you select Gmail. And that's it. You can close your application. And the next time you're in the web browser and you click a link that says email, instead of it opening up the built-in mail application, it will open up your email application of choice.
Very nice. Yes, I happened to see this because I don't have automatic updates for my apps turned on in the App Store. So I always scroll through and it said Gmail has been updated so it can be the default email app. So yes, well, they're slow to many features. This one, they were all over because if they can be the default app, that is something that works to their advantage. And I really do like the Gmail app on iOS.
And the bonus pro tip of this is it also works with web browsers. So if you have the Chrome web browser, if you have Brave, if you have Firefox, and you want that to be the web browser, you do the same thing. You scroll down, you find the application, you find the default web browser, and make the checkbox there. So it's a 2-for-1 today.
Woohoo! I like it. Yeah, that is a great new feature on iOS. Thank you. Well, on to our takes of the week. I mentioned earlier that a couple of our big tech companies had some announcements this week. First up, Google had a very weird, nighttime join us for happy hour announcement of their Google Pixel 5 phone, their new one, as well as some other devices. Now, I do have a Google Pixel 3 that I use as an Android testing device. I really don't use it much anymore. It's a good phone. The Google Pixel, we've discussed before that those are probably ones that we would look at. Now, the interesting thing with the new Google Pixel 5 is that they kind of coming in at a lower price point for one of these flagship phones. It starts at $699, which still is a lot of money and not as cheap as, say, an iPhone SE. It's going to be out at the end of the month. They put in, upgrade the display. It doesn't have the top processor for Android phones. It's a little bit lower grade one, but it has lots of RAM in it, so it should be pretty snappy. It's got both the normal camera, we will say, and an ultra-wide lens, so it only has two lenses. It is rated IPX8, so it's waterproof and dustproof. But yeah, so if you're looking at the Pixel phones, that's their new kind of top-tier one.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of reviews and comments about this product, and one of the things they did this time, and it's been happening for a while, Apple, for example, iterates on their device. And so if they have a 2x camera in their device, the next year they keep the 2x camera and then they add a wide view camera. And then maybe the next time they have some type of screen technology and they keep that and then they add a new screen technology. Well, the Google products these days, they've seemed to have replaced features. They take away one and then add another. They choose not to upgrade some components over various iterations. The camera, for example, they've been stuck on the same 12 megapixel camera sensor for the past 2 or 3 phones. They say it's just fine. Their software does most of the heavy lifting and they've updated their software. But it's just a different business model, I guess. Either keeping features and building on top of that to where you have this super phone that does everything, or kind of giving features, saying people didn't use them and take them away so you can add another feature. It's an okay strategy, but it does make it confusing. Because if I'm a person who really loved the 2x feature of the zoom, I'm not going to upgrade to the new Pixel because they have taken away that feature. And so now I'm like, well, there's not an upgrade path for me because the feature I want is not there. You didn't iterate. You changed the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's a very strange landscape to navigate in the Google Pixel. And this is typical Google. I know we were praising it briefly, but these are the things that they do that just drive people crazy.
Yeah.
They're not consistent.
Yes. And they did add 5G network support, which now, if you're somebody who buys a phone for the next 3 to 4 years, 5G might be something that becomes a reality to you. But I don't think it's a make or break deal for anybody on a phone yet. And they also announced the Pixel 4a 5G, just rolls off the tongue.
That's easy to understand.
Yeah, so the 4a is their kind of lower end, similar to the iPhone SE, but they did some upgrades on that, and that starts at $499. Now, I did see it interesting, maybe on Twitter or somewhere, statistic that Google, there was a rumor that they're looking to produce about 3 million phones for this year with their new phone lineup, which I think is about what Apple does a month on average. So to give you some perspective that, they're good phones, but they're definitely not as mainstream as Apple or Samsung by a long shot. A couple other things they announced. One of the ones that I'm intrigued by is their current video call service is Google Duo, and they have added a feature. And when I first saw it, it said screen or group watch, and I'm like, okay, yeah, every service has their way to watch together. Well, you can actually share your screen during the call, and as somebody who provides a lot of IT support, this piqued my interest, because I thought, well, if somebody's having a problem with their phone, they could actually, if I could get them to figure out how to do it, they would be able to share their phone screen, and I could help walk through it. Now, there are some other ways to do that, but they're just kind of complicated.
Can't you do that with Zoom?
Yes, share? You can. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you can on the phone, so that was one of the other things. Probably they'll take away the feature before anybody uses it.
Probably.
Now, probably their biggest announcement of the day is an all-new Google Chromecast. So the Chromecast started off as just a little tiny hockey puck that you plugged into the back of your TV, and then you controlled everything with your phone. Well, they are now switching it where it is much more like every other streaming device, where you plug it into your TV, but then there's an actual remote, so you don't have to use your phone to control it or provide it with content or any of that. I haven't gotten a chance to see a lot of reviews on this. I am intrigued by it. It does come in at $50, so it's much cheaper than the Apple TV, but I saw a headline this morning, The Verge, when they do review any product, they say, the Chromecast is great and a great new design, but they have a but in every single headline. But in every headline, and they said that it can be a little clunky, and it's not as fast. The Apple TV, Dave, you and I, we are so spoiled, because that thing, it is a computer. That thing is fast, and the other devices I've used are not as smooth, so that would be one thing to watch out. But it does have 4K HDR, all that good stuff. It's got 3 colors, which... Why? Because it plugs into the back of your TV. Hopefully, you're never going to see this thing.
Yeah, but I mean, if you have this black TV with all these black wires and it's kind of behind, having a shining pearl white thing back there might be a little distracting.
Yes.
So
well,
the darker color.
Well, the 3 colors are snow, which is the white, sky, which is blue, and sunrise, which is pink. So
what? So they don't even have black?
No. And now, Dave, here's the part you'll be interested in. Google has their Stadia gaming service. The new Chromecast doesn't support Stadia yet. Their own gaming system. Yes, but on launch, come on, people.
I know. This is the inconsistency we spoke about earlier.
Yeah, and they do have a new Google TV. They're kind of, now that with the Chromecast, you've got the controller and everything, they've built their own thing, much like Roku or Apple, their own interface, trying to tie everything in. Now, the thing that does intrigue me is it ties in with YouTube TV, which I use. So I don't know if it's going to be available on Apple TV or if one of my other devices I would be able to get this app.
I'm gonna put on my future cap. No.
Yes.
My future cap says Nate will buy one of these, hook it up, and be immediately disappointed and go back to his Apple TV within the same day.
Yes. And I will tell people, I have heard, I think there's these benchmarking sites, and that some people have seen maybe some tests show up of new Apple TV hardware, and we've been talking about that. I think the last release was like 3 years ago. So
man, I'm dying for a new Apple TV.
I'm hoping, in a quick sidestep pro tip, a year ago I bought a new iPhone, and with that I got a free year of Apple TV Plus. Well, that free year, I noticed in my iCloud subscriptions expires, or my first payment is November 1st. So if you have that free year and you're not using Apple TV Plus, it's a reminder of that. That also leads me to think Apple is very aware of that. And at one of maybe multiple announcements or events that they have this month, they've got to step it up. They've got to have some more content, because if there are shows you wanted to watch, you've watched them. So to get people coming to pay, I'm crossing my fingers, being optimistic that they are going to say, hey, we've got all this new stuff coming to try to keep those people paying. So we will see what happens with that. And back to Google's announcements, the other product that they announced, the big one, was a new Nest audio speaker. So this is very similar to the Apple HomePod and the new Amazon Echo devices that we talked about last week. Now it's this taller dome thing.
It looks like the Apple's product.
Yes,
it looks like.
Yes, with a little more rounded corners. It's $99. They claim it's 75% louder and 50% stronger bass response. Again, if you're in the Google world and looking for a louder home speaker, look at this one. There are so many options on the market for this stuff. I don't know how you would ever decide.
I don't know. Like, I got to be honest with you. We're just inundated. Like, we have the Alexa device here, and it sounds okay by itself, but we have it hooked up to just a pair of old PC speakers, powered PC speakers, and it makes it sound much better. But most of the times, if I want good sound, I just use my phone and I do a Bluetooth pair to my sound bar, which has got like a bass amp, and it's got satellite speakers, and it sounds way better than any of these things combined. So I'm wondering how many people have sound bars in their house that they could just connect their phone to play music that way, that don't need these Apple, Google, and Amazon very loud speakers to play music. I just don't. Well, I don't
and especially
in that way, I guess.
Especially in 2020, seem to be a lot less opportunities to need to have loud music on in your home
when everyone's on Zoom calls trying to do homework and stuff. So anyway, for those who have the room and like the design of this product, yay for you. But I kind of feel like there's just so many other ways to play music that these manufacturers are not going to get a lot of market share, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, the other announcement of the week, Microsoft announced a couple products. They have a new Surface Laptop Go, and then they did some new updates to the Surface Pro X. They use an X for both X and 10. I think they have some of the worst naming.
They're worse than Apple, maybe.
Well,
maybe
like
not.
on their Xbox stuff, they have the Xbox 10X, Pro X, 10X.
No, it's the Xbox Series X. I'm sorry. Xbox Series X. It might be Xbox One Series X and the Xbox One Series S. I can't remember if they dropped the one or not, but I think it's the Xbox One Series. No, that was the last generation. So it's Xbox Series X.
Exactly my point.
And Xbox Series S.
Yes.
For the po boys.
Yes.
But on that topic, are you going to participate in this next gaming generation with the new PlayStation and Xbox or anything?
I don't see.
They don't play Candy Crush, so probably not.
No.
Okay. Well, on to the topic here.
Yes. So the new Surface Laptop Go. Now, the Surface line of laptops, I've set them up for people. I've used them. I've never owned one myself. They are great little laptops. They've got the touch screen. They seem to be pretty good. Now, this new Surface Laptop Go comes in at a little lower price, starting at $549.99. Can we drop the 99 cents, people? And a 12.4-inch touchscreen display. These are good little devices. And then the Surface Pro X is kind of their highest end one that start at $1499.99. But yeah, I think they're good. I don't know that they're the best option for people.
I think they're great for students, and let me tell you why. This device is, well, one, it's appealing because of its sleek shape and lightweight frame. It's also comes in a variety of colors, and it's where Apple was several years ago with their MacBook Air products. It's got the built-in camera. It's got the big trackpad. It's got an SD card. Well, actually, it maybe doesn't have an SD card slot. I'll take that back. But it's got a USB port. The thing that I thought was the SD card slot is actually a MagSafe style power adapter.
They've got their own power adapter.
So it easily pops in and out and if it gets snagged. And so I feel like this is their, hey, Apple's not making these type of laptops anymore. Let's make a laptop like this. It's got the chiclet keys and stuff. So it's very reminiscent of a MacBook Air from like 2015, 2016 or whatever. But the price point, $500 for students or parents who have students who don't like their school's Chromebooks that are garbage, and they're faced with, well, do I buy them a $1,000 Mac to use, or do I just buy them a $500 Surface thing that works perfect for Zoom calls? And so I see this as a great price and a great compromise for the student who's staying at home.
Yeah. No, I do think they're good devices. I've actually in the last week for different clients have purchased a couple different laptops and a MacBook Air, and I've been in that world again, and it is so hard to figure out what you're supposed to buy and stuff like that. And these are these definitely they have a cool factor, and they're great little devices. So don't forget about these ones if you're thinking about buying something new.
And they run Windows 10, so I mean, all of your applications are going to work. They may not. It's not going to run Fortnite very well.
Yeah.
But it'll do anything you need to do on the web just beautifully.
Yep, I agree. Well, Amazon, we missed this one when we were talking about their event. So they're popping up with all these Amazon Go stores where you can just kind of walk in and just pay for stuff. Well, they've got a new technology, and I heard that they're hoping to expand this, sell it to Walmart or whoever wants it. They have a new thing where you pay with your palm. Yeah, so I have heard some discussions. So the little images as you're walking into the store, and there's a scanner that you just wave your hand over, and it reads, and it actually, from what I understand, it looks at like your vein structure within your palm. Now, they do say that they store an encrypted hash of what your palm is. They don't have a picture of your vein structure on their servers, but again, obviously, this is a product that is being much discussed in our current viral climate, but I just don't. I'm
surprised they don't use Face ID since they inevitably have a picture of your face already.
Yeah, I just don't know which problem this solves. Everybody's got a smartphone that you can use to securely do this kind of stuff.
The difference is with the smartphone is you are the keeper of the data.
Yes.
You and your smartphone manufacturer, which may be safe or not, depending on who you go with. But in this scenario, Amazon has the data. They have the handprint. They keep it on their servers. So it's just giving that company another piece of information about yourself that I'm not sure if I like it.
Yeah. This one, we'll see what the buy-in is over time on that. Amazon also, something that I am going to go out on a limb and say, Dave, this is not something you're interested in. I am not interested. We have talked before that we are both... we have our sense of fashion, and we aren't necessarily looking for advice. Now, Amazon has had, through Amazon Prime, a Prime wardrobe service that was mostly focused towards women, and they are now expanding it to men, where for $5 per month, you have a personal shopper, so you kind of give them some information on your style,
AKA algorithm.
Yes. There's not somebody sitting there picking things out in the warehouse. So there's other services like this. Stitch Fix is another one where you pay a monthly fee. They send you a box of clothes they think you'll like. You keep what you want, send everything back. Now, if this is... I could see the advantage to this service if you're looking to stay on the edge of fashion. It does look like with this one, what they'll do is before they send it out, they will, kind of send you your shopping cart, and you can kind of pick before they send it out to you and say, "There's no way I would ever wear that thing," or then they send it out and you can send back what you don't like. I just have a zero need for this.
I don't want the plaid pants, but keep the women's high heels.
Yes.
Keep that in the box.
Yeah.
I do want those.
Yeah, so it's an option out there. If somebody wants to try it, please let us know how it works. It's just not... I want plaid colored shirts, and I'm picky on which ones I get. So I'm a picky shopper, and but it would be interesting to see it, just to see what they would pick for me. Maybe I will try it out just to see and see if there would be anything. I place a extremely high value on low price when I look at the holistic cost of clothing. So that's another thing that I'm guessing they aren't going to say, well, here's the cheapest thing we can find. It's like, hey, this is really in right now.
Well, I'm thinking it is about time for me to buy another. I like short sleeve button-up shirts that are made of wrinkle-free fabrics, like some rayon and some polyester blend type stuff. And it's been a while since I've purchased a new one. I've got my 3 or 4 that I just wear all the time. So maybe I should look on here and see if I can find something.
Maybe we'll do it and report back. This next story is not news. I just don't... This is a tale as old as time. Publishers worry as ebooks fly off libraries' virtual shelves. So the numbers are up for people borrowing ebooks. We've talked about Libby and Overdrive, the apps that we have available to us through our local libraries. I've been, getting on some wait lists for some. I prefer audiobooks to ebooks, but publishers are worried that this is cutting into their sales. Well, yes. Publishers have not liked libraries as long as time and libraries have existed, because it doesn't. It means somebody may borrow the book. They're also worried about people lending books to each other. They are worried about making less money. I just don't see how this is something that is any surprise to anybody.
They're worried about people taking a digital book and putting it online for free somewhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are the same old things. And publishers and people who make films and music, the people who are going to take advantage of the system and pirate and do all those things are doing it anyway. But if you want people to see your content and make a positive impact in society, you need to support your libraries. And yes, you're going to probably lose a few sales of the book, but I feel like all of these media outlets are so short-sighted. So let's say we have the new Harry Potter. We'll call it Larry Jaunter. The new Larry Jaunter book is in libraries, and people read it, and it's fantastic, and people recommend it. It gets, there's only so many copies to go around in the libraries. People want to, what are they going to do? They're going to go to Amazon. They're going to go to their local bookstore. They're going to do whatever. They're going to buy the book in mass because of all of this free publicity that they've gotten from word of mouth through people reading at libraries. So it just feels like they're so short-sighted sometimes. It's like, I can't give up a sale. Well, that one sale could turn into 50 sales down the road. Anyway, I don't think they have anything to worry about.
No, and one of the interesting notes in the article from Wired, it talks about libraries, they do pay more per copy for books to be able to have it, but then they go into talk that librarians have shifted away from physical copies into virtual copies. And it's like, well, yeah, that's like saying that people are breeding less horses for riding because people are driving cars now. It's, I mean, publishers, and they're raising the prices on libraries. And of course, this year, everything's
ice cream
been
sales
weird.
go down in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
That one is just kind of silly. Our security and privacy story of the week. This one is for our Tesla owners out there. A white hat hacker gains access to Tesla's servers and its entire fleet. So a white hat hacker is somebody that does hacking for the good to try to test systems, and this person was able to, and it says here, it looks like it happened back in 2017. I don't know if that's what they're currently talking about, but they were able to access the servers, which then means that they could have controlled any Tesla vehicle.
Wow.
Not good.
That's crazy.
So they did get a whopping $50,000 for finding this vulnerability. But yeah, I would have paid a lot more than $50,000 to know about that problem.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is nuts. So what exactly could they have done by having to control the car? Could they have steered the car? Could they have shut it off? What exactly, or is it just more about information? Yeah,
so they do have, there's like the auto park feature, the auto retrieve feature. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with a Tesla remotely.
Ooh, a movie plot. Listen up, Spielberg. So here's the movie plot. Someone hacks into Tesla, or it's going to be a made-up name, Edison Car Company, and they control all of them, and they have the return car to me feature, and that's how they steal all these cars.
Yes.
They just say, turn on the return the car, and the car drives to you. You don't have to steal the car anymore.
Yes. I guess Elon Musk had a quote. He said, in principle, if someone was able to say hack all of the autonomous Teslas, they could say, just as a prank, they could say, send them all to Rhode Island across the United States, and that would be the end of Tesla, and there would be a lot of angry people in Rhode Island.
That would be hilarious. Yeah, maybe that's what I'll do if I'm a hacker.
Send them all to Rhode Island. I don't know why he chose Rhode Island, but that's what
Probably
he chose.
Probably because it's small, it would make a big impact.
Yes. Our bonus odd take of the week, we like to lighten things up, and these ones always do. I don't know if we might have talked about these. They seem to come up about every couple months. The 2020 Comedy Wildlife Photography Awards.
I remember these last year.
Yeah, the finalists have been announced, and there are just some hilarious wildlife pictures that help us escape from everything else going on for a while.
I'm surprised I don't see more cats in here.
Yes.
I guess they have their own category of hilarious photos.
Yes, this is wildlife, and most cats are cuddled beyond belief. So
yeah, but I mean, I suppose.
Yes.
I guess a house cat is not considered a wild life, rather the opposite, I suppose.
Yes.
I do see a lion now, and I see a tiger.
Yes.
So those are some
the
cats.
The cats are represented. My favorite is the turtle underwater giving the camera the finger, it looks like, from the perspective given there.
Nice.
It's,
or the monkey with the cane itching his rear end.
Yes. Yeah. So just go to the show notes, click on the link, bring the kids around the device, and have a good chuckle at these photos. Look at these
funny pictures, everybody.
Yes. As somebody who has attempted to take some wildlife photography, mostly at zoos or something, I am impressed by what these people are able to capture. The patience and planning that wildlife photographers do is something I have neither of.
Right.
But something I always have plenty of are picks of the week.
So this has nothing to do with wildlife, but it has something to do with social things.
Yes.
And of course, what I'm talking about is a social game.
Oh,
you didn't see that one coming.
Never.
Did you? Well, I don't know that we've talked about it, at least in reference to a pick of the week. But Jackbox games have been around forever. Have you ever heard, like back in the 90s, You Don't Know Jack?
Oh, yes.
These trivia games.
Yes.
Same company. Well, a few years ago, I purchased, and it was probably one of the better purchases I've made. I think it cost like $20 or $15. It was kind of expensive. But I purchased for my iOS device Jackbox Games Volume 3. And these volumes of games have multiple individual games in them. And Volume 3 seems to be one that is really popular with people because the games that they've put in there, people like. Now, of course, you can buy these games individually, but I would recommend buying them in a pack to save some money, of course. And these games are also, I will add, available on pretty much any platform. Nintendo Switch, iOS, Android, PC, you name it, it's available. But I want to explain to you how they work and why they're so cool. And I also want to explain to you why I chose the iOS platform to purchase this game. One of the reasons I like buying games on iOS is if you have multiple devices and you're signed in the same account, you can just download them. It's not like Nintendo where it's like, oh, you got a new device? Here, you're going to have to jump through a bunch of hoops just to put that game on a device because you can only be on one device at a time, and your save file you have to transfer separately, and it's just a big mess. Of course, I own a lot of devices, but the kicker is if I'm at home, the app installs on my Apple TV, right?
Yeah. So
I can play it on my big screen TV because it's a social game. If I'm out and about, I could play it on my iPad if I wanted to. I can even play it through the web browser to some extent. More on that in a second. So they're just a really fun series of games to play with people. So here's how it works. You have one device that is the master device that you play the game on. Then you use any other device in your arsenal that can connect to a web browser. You launch the game, you pick the game that you want, and it gives you a 4-digit code on your smart device, laptop, web TV, whatever.
Yes.
Your Xbox One that has a built-in web browser, anything. You dial up to the website, you put in the code, and then now you have a portal into that game. And so many of the games have like 4 to 8 players, and they ask you questions, you can answer them on your device. They show up on the TV, and so it's just a fun, interactive environment to play at home it's very easy to set up. It's very easy to play. The friction to get in and out of this thing is very low, is what I'm going to say. And we've even had for like youth groups and stuff like that, you can play it online, right? So you share the Jackbox screen to all of your Zoom participants, and they at home on their smart devices or in another window on their computer can play the game together from home. I mean, from home across the country. Anyway, Jackbox games, they can be spendy, but you can find them on sale, usually for around $15. They're regularly like $24, but they're well worth it. Even if you play them a couple times with a group of friends, it's fun had by all.
Nice. And it looks like their current party pack is Party Pack 7, which has just been released. So they've got a lot of options there. That looks like a good pick. Well, my pick of the week, I've got actually 2 picks and a pro tip for you. We talked a little bit a couple weeks ago when iOS 14 first came about widgets. And I mean, widgets and customizations are taking the world by storm. Everybody's having fun because they can finally add all of this stuff to their iPhones and customize things. Well, if you've been to the App Store recently, one of the top apps since iOS 14 was released is an app called Widgetsmith. And this is a great little app. It's free, and then there's some upgrades that you can purchase on a subscription basis. But it just gives you a lot of custom widgets you can make. You can do different fonts. There's, weather ones and time ones and photo ones. And so you can have a little photo gallery that, refreshes on your screen. And the second one from the same developer that I'll mention is WatchSmith, where you can do custom complications on your Apple Watch with this app. So they're both very cool apps. Now, one thing in my own widget experiments that I realized I had tried using, here's the pro tip, I had tried using one of Apple's smart widget things where it picks which things it wants to show you and what time of day. Well, if you want to make your own, because I just wasn't really impressed with that, you can, if you have multiple widgets on a page, and they're all like, I use the little 4x4 one on my homepage. You can drag multiple widgets on top of each other and make your own smart stack. That's what they call it. So I have it where on my phone, I've got one of my reminders app, I've got the stocks app, the battery, and the weather. I leave it on the weather, but if I want to take a quick look at those other things, I can quickly scroll through and look at them. But yeah, check out Widgetsmith, the free version. There's a bunch of them that you can create in there, and then you can play around with it and have some fun. If you guys are using some cool widgets, let us know. More and more apps are releasing with them, but check out Widgetsmith, and if you have an Apple Watch, WatchSmith.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm going to have to try those out. I've had limited success with these apps. For some reason, my brain just doesn't work with the way they work. But I think another problem I have is I have the Series 3 watch, and they don't always, I don't know that everything is compatible with Series 3. So.
Yes. All the complications and all that.
Yeah, but even the widget utility, I was trying to make that work, and I kind of gave up. So
yes, yeah, and I will say on my stack that I've created, you can create it so it doesn't auto rotate. If you can edit the stack, and because it tries to think ahead and when you want to know the weather and when you want your reminders. I just want the control of it. I want to be looking at weather, and if I want to look at something else, I know just to swipe on it. But yeah, widgets, they're here for iOS. Apple or Android users are like, yeah, we've had that for years and years, but it is something new in the iOS world. Our Amazon purchase of the week, we love it when you guys use our links to shop through Amazon, and I actually know who purchased this one, and it was surprising when I saw it on their kitchen counter. This is the Rand McNally 2021 Rhode Atlas with protective vinyl cover. Rand McNally Rhode Atlas.
Was this your parents?
How did you guess? They are literally from a different generation, and they're going on a road trip. And my dad said, I said, what? And he said, you know what? I just like to have the Atlas and to be able to physically look around and see what's around. And they're kind of going on a free-spirited road trip. They do have some destinations, but that was something that was important to him. So this is, the one that used to flop around in the back of your car in the 80s. They're still making these, and people are still buying them. It's got perfect 5 stars on 549 ratings.
Nice. Yeah. I love cartography and maps and Google Earth and all of these applications. I bought a for $8 at the Goodwill. I showed it to you last week. A Garmin, like a 5-year-old Garmin GPS. I've never owned a GPS thing before, and so I just wanted to play around with it. Of course, now I do everything on my phone, but maps are beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, they are fun to look at. They're educational. They can be rendered rather beautifully like a piece of art. So, I mean, they have a lot of value even today.
So, Dave, if you were my parents, what would you pay for a 2021 Rhode Atlas?
Well, and this is U.S.?
Yes.
The whole U.S.? Okay. And you said it had a vinyl cover.
United States, Canada, and Mexico. And it has a
Toledo
protective vinyl cover.
Yeah. I've seen these things. It's like my thing's not working. Is it like an inch thick? Is it like a big one?
It's not super thick, but it's pretty big. It's like newspaper size.
What's the scale? No, I'm kidding. 1 to 1 million or whatever. Man, I don't have experience with this, but I have to imagine this thing costs $45.
Well, Dave, you're in for a treat. It is $16.16.
Are you kidding me?
Amazon Prime, yeah.
They're that cheap?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know how much competition they have if AAA still gives out theirs that you can get, but
I would imagine they would have cost at least more than $20.
Yeah, $17.95 is the list price, but right now you can go and get one for $16.16.
Well, maybe I need one in my car.
Yeah, there you go.
It's going to sit in the trunk and get all moldy because it got leaked on by water or whatever, and I'll find it 5 years from now, but maybe I need one just for a backup.
Yeah. Go get it. Link will be in the show notes, as it always is. And with that, we're going to wrap up this episode. We've thrown enough technology at you for 1 week, so now you can get out there and tech better.
Why did I think a map was $45?
Yeah.